Okay, we'll just wait till the top of the hour. We like to start right on time, but we don't want to start early because nobody's officially late yet. So as you can see, we've got all kinds of people on the screen who have attended the most powerful women in network marketing event over the weekend. And so people are going to share their takeaways from that event. It was phenomenal event. And I think that people were really happy that they sat there for 3 days and soaked in all the information, even though they had a little bit of overwhelm because it was a long 3 days, a lot of information, but great information. So we'll start in less than 30 seconds. If you have somebody you want to text to make sure that they get on this call, go ahead and text them now. Let them know we're starting at the top of the hour. There we go. Well, there's the magic sound. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to another ASEA Global Expansion Team Zoom. We have had the most powerful women in network marketing event that was hosted over the weekend by Marina Worre. And she has collected a bunch of powerhouse women from all over the world to talk about their entrepreneurial experience, lessons, takeaways, that kind of thing. And so we have all kinds of people who attended the event over the weekend who are going to share some of their takeaways. So let's start with Roseanne Donahoe. I see Rosie there sitting there and she's scrambling for her notes. But Rosie, I know that you attended and took copious notes. What were some of your takeaways from the weekend?
That was, again, having attended the mastermind event down in Las Vegas. It's like it just keeps getting better and better. And what the profound part to me was that there were so many of us elevating a level of consciousness and awareness about an industry that changes people's lives, and women speaking who'd been able to earn over $1 million. You don't get on the stage unless you've done that. And this focus on authenticity, I have to tell you that that hasn't really been something I've been courageous enough, brave enough to do, because I've looked around and thought I needed to be something other than I am. Oops. Oopsie, that was so wrong. and so I feel just my heart is full. Denny's saying, "Mind must reach your destination before your body does." I have, just from what that doctor, can't remember her name, who wrote the book Radical Transformation. This is such key information for people, because I realize I've had a shield. I'm walking around with this shield thinking I should be something other than I am. And, I am good enough for this. I am, it was so affirming. I'm so absolutely grateful. And just a brief story, I told it with Bonita and some other folks. So I am so high from this. Sunday morning, I'm like, I got to take a break. I went and played tennis. So I was an hour late for the event, right? But I go and play tennis, and I want you all to know the impact of hanging around this level of awareness, this level of all tides raising ships, okay? Because I played out of my mind at tennis, playing 26 years younger people than me, and just could not miss. Why did that happen? Because I was in an energy field that reminded me of what is possible within me. So I would just say, and it got me writing down what it is that I dream about, because I haven't allowed that in 20 some odd years of doing this industry. I've not allowed that. And so I just want to say, hey, there are no limits with this. That's what we got from this. There are no limits. And I am so grateful for you, Cindy Buck, inviting me on this, because, you know, it's an opportunity for me to not play small and say, yes, I'll be there, I'll show up. I'm so grateful for your love and your commitment to make this happen, not just for you guys, but for all of us.
Absolutely, Rosie. Fantastic. Man, I can just feel it, you know, and I've heard people say it's so hard to recreate an event that you weren't at, because there's so much, but it'll change you at the cellular level. And I can feel that it has really just woken up your cells and kicked you in the butt and said, come on, Rosie, man. So that's so good to hear. So good to hear. Benita Rogers, what were some of your takeaways?
Oh, thanks, Cindy. So unlike Rosie, I did not take copious notes because I'm just not a good note taker, but I do internalize all this stuff. And so I'm so full. I'm just like full to the brim. So, but there was so many things that I got out of it, but there was a whole underlying theme that it kept coming back to, was the struggles that so many of these women had gone through. I mean, life, bad struggles. And I found myself thinking, what would your struggle story be if you were to be on the stage with these women, you know? And, you know, I can come up with one, let me tell you, you know, I think everybody can. And then another thing I got was, it's not about me. It's never about me. But, you know, the more money I attract, the more people I have helped. And that's huge. Stop canceling yourself. You know, there's so many times when the wind blows the wrong way and it's like, oh, I don't need to do that today. Or, you know, just anything can throw you off and you're canceling yourself and deciding I'm not enough. I can't do this, whatever it is. We need to imagine bigger. You know, we have to see it in our mind before we can hold it in our hand, which brought me back to something that I remember Bob Proctor always talking about, is everything that was once imagined. You know, if you can wrap your head around that, somebody had to imagine it before it was. And then Lisa Nichols was fantastic. I got a lot of what she talked about. She talked about being in the season of wanting to do what she wants, when she wants, with whoever she wants to. And I thought, I want to be in that season. I want to go there. I want to be with who I want to. I want to do what I want to do. But then I realized she's got a bigger pocketbook than I do. So I have to have my financial freedom in place before I can actually do everything that I want to with whoever I want to. Before we can rescue the world, we have to work on transforming ourselves. So like an airline hostess who's demonstrating the oxygen mask, she says, you know, before you help someone with their oxygen mask, put your own oxygen mask on. It's really important that we get our heads where they need to be. And are you ready to let your soul speak? Then stop speaking guarded. I think so many times we talk to people and we aren't really putting our soul into what we're saying, and they can sense that, they believe that. When we speak to inspire, not to impress people. I thought those were great words. And she spoke about learning from others who have gone before us, because I mean, in this industry, in just the ASEA company, we have decades and decades and decades of people who have been in network marketing and worked all this stuff out. Why do we think we have to come in and reinvent the wheel all the time? If we just follow what they are telling us to do, we're going to be so much further off, along. The smartest thing that you can do is hook your caboose to someone else's train. I love that. So, and then Danny, I mean, she started right out of the gate with comparison is the thief of joy. And it'll leave you bitter, resentful, and unproductive. She says, stop it. We, each one of us are on our own journey. We need to just travel our journey without looking at everyone else's journey. We can do anything we want to, as long as we're ready to work for it. Because this is network marketing. That's what we have to do. And then one of my favorite things that I actually did write down was from Jamie Lee Kern Lima, because I'm really inspired by her. We've been reading her book, Believe It. It's a fantastic read. You should get this book if you don't have it. She said, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And I know for myself, this is a calling. And so I know he has to be qualifying me every single day. I am qualified because he's giving me that. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, fantastic. So rich, so rich. Yeah, thank you so much for putting it in little bite-sized pizzas so we can kind of metabolize little bits and pieces of it all. Thank you so much, Benita. Kevin Saunders, what did you take away? Oh, and you're muted.
There we go. So I wrote down some good nuggets. Some will be some repeat. It was just incredible weekend, incredible advice. And I too got to a really common thread that underlies everything. But, Kate Hudson said, find your spark, find your shiny self when you show up. And I think that's so important. Marie Forleo, you can't use this word, Cindy. I don't do overwhelm. Get clear on your priorities and say, I don't do overwhelm. You heard this from Bonita. Lisa Nichols said this, speak to inspire and not to impress. Speak to someone's heart. The book that Dr. Shafali wrote and is coming out, it's called A Radical Awakening. And she said, we live and we answer and we react. We're living patterns instead of what is happening at that moment. And that sabotages our self and that sabotages our business. I forgot who said it, pour into our strengths. So we have to find our strength, find our superpower. Lisa Nichols was find your voice. Find your voice, not somebody else's voice. You have to find your voice because it's a people business and you have to connect with people from the heart. Again, same thing. Jessie Lee Ward said, work on the distance between your head and your heart. Jamie Kern Lima, she is just a shining spark. There's so much light in her eyes. And she said, you've got to trust your gut. Well, how do we do that? We have to learn to trust our gut. And it was Kat Hoke, Bonita mentioned this, stop canceling yourself, stop dismissing yourself. And I have to say, Denny's speech was amazing. And for some reason, really touched me. I thought it was the best she'd ever given. And I finally realized that she was more heart-centered and more vulnerable than I've ever heard her speak. And this is the key to this business, guys, because I think if you don't get to this underlying thread, your business is a house of cards. Yes, we can create a vision. Yes, we can get our why, be real clear in our why. Yes, we can decide. Yes, we can be consistent. But how do we do that? So it's all about vulnerability and authenticity. And unless you can find that and peel back the layers, because you can't have a spark, you can't find your happy until you peel back the layers and become really vulnerable, and then you can become authentic. And I think at the very base of it, that's the base of this business. And I come from industries that you can't do that. Rosie was saying, she thought she had to create this person that she had to be. Well, we don't be, we have to become. And I come from industries where you don't show your weakness. You got to be top. If not, you better be faking it really good. I had someone tell me when I was taking a graduate course, stand up in front of everybody, oral final on reproductive physiology across all ag species. They said, don't show your weakness. If the panel sees blood in the water, they're going to come and get you. And this is a business, guys, where it's okay to have blood in the water because that's how we're going to connect with people. So that's really hard for me to hear. But I think Bonita, she's saying the same thing. And Rosie, it's like, get to that authentic place, and we got to be brave enough to be vulnerable, and it's vulnerable in authenticity. That was my big takeaway.
It's great. Yeah. Brene Brown talks a lot about that, about that we're so afraid. It takes so much courage to show those, little warts and pimples in our personality. But when we reveal that we're not perfect, and we're not trying to be perfect, we're just doing our best. We connect. That's when we connect, because then the other person lets their guard down and tells you, yeah, well, you should have heard what I did. You know what I mean? Like, they'll reveal their little bumps and bruises to you too. So fantastic, Kevin. Yeah, absolutely love it. Ruth Little, what'd you take away?
I learned and took away value from every single presenter. And for me, I wasn't really excited about spending 3 days on screen time. I'm just not a person who enjoys digital media of any kind, doing being in the house. I want to be outside. So I wasn't really excited about it. And I hadn't really realized that I hadn't found value for myself in this. I had attended the November Eric Worre free thing, and then the GoPro in December. And I thought this was going to be just like that we would be learning some different things for duplication. I really wasn't prepared for all the heart. And what I realized, I learned so much about myself. Like, you talk about peeling those layers. Friday I showed up, and I take a lot of notes, but I was just in my mind the whole time. I was in my head. And by Saturday, they had really drawn out and got me into my heart space. And I was peeling away those onions. By the time Kat talked about canceling ourselves, I realized where I was doing that in some of these habit patterns. And for me, this is the part that's really getting in the way of my business. And, I haven't been able to integrate that. So just coming to really see the value that this thing had so much value for me as a human being, to see and connect with each of the presenters as a human being. Not just, I think I've always looked at the presenters as somebody with all this skill, done a lot of comparing, I could never do that. I'm looking at that instead of really hearing what they say. For some reason, my whole being changed, and I was able to hear their heart and see their heart this time. And that was different, because what it changed is the way I view network marketing. It connected my heart to the industry of network marketing. And I think before, network marketing had gotten the last 5 years into my mind, but not into my heart space. So that was huge for me, and I loved going.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you went, and I'm sure you feel just a little bit different, like, probably more like yourself, but probably not like you felt in a long time.
Definitely.
Yeah. I love it, Ruth. I absolutely love it. Peg Coates, what did you take away? And you're muted.
Well, I really love what Ruth just shared, because I think, that was the essence of what happened for most people that were on this training. People moved into their hearts. Every woman there shared from their heart. And there were processes that allowed people to open up and find themselves. And really, hats off to everybody that was there participating, because you could see people opening up their whole heart and being involved, not just from a note-taking place or from a head place, but from that heart place. A few of the things that have been shared, I'm going to share from just a little different perspective, because Dr. Safali really did talk about these self-sabotaging patterns, and said that they really are a reflection of parental wounding. When we're self-sabotaging, it's coming from patterns that we've developed having been wounded when we were little. And she says, and I thought this was so incredible, that, and I want you to hear this, I am the constant. I am the constant in every situation. So it really lands the responsibility on each of us to realize that whatever situation is coming up, we are the constant in that situation. It isn't the company or network marketing or our upline or any of that. It's us. We're in that. It's us. We're the constant. We can move to the moon and we're still with us, right? We're bringing that with us. So those patterns have to be peeled back and we have to find the truth of who we are. And so, you know, one of the things she talked about is that we are actually co-creators. We're the co-creators of our lives. And so we need to take handle on that one. And embody the fullest aspect. Many of the women talked about being the best version of who we are. So oftentimes I think people think these trainings are going to be nuts and bolts. You know, how do you do duplication? How do you, invite somebody? How do you do a close? All of that. That is not it, you guys. That's just not it. We've been told it's a mindset and we have to get rid of the wounding, the patterns, the things that we have told ourselves that are lies. Dr. Zavali talks about culture has lied to us a lot. And so, she said, how would you live your life in a different way? And she asked us to think, what are the limiting beliefs that are stealing our dreams? So I ask you to consider, everybody, what are the ones that are stealing your dreams? I wrote down settling for the comfort zone, playing small. We've heard always, you got to move from the comfort zone to the miracle zone. Yeah, it's a nice phrase of words, but we literally have to move forward into that area where we're stretching out and being more than we can be. Procrastination, I've got so many stars here, I can barely see the word procrastination. But this is the big one, not believing in who I totally am. For years, and I've been in this business for a long time. I've been in this company for a long time. And what I really came to understand was people expect and see me in a much higher level than I live in. And it's me. It's my lack of vision. It's my lack of belief that keeps me in that position. And that's exactly what she was saying. So how would our lives be different if we actually lived our life on our own terms, not out of someone else's expectations, but out of our terms? What would we want it to look like, feel like, be like? And she had us write those things down. Also, Maria Folio, I just think she's incredible. If you ever guys, she's got all kinds of free stuff. She's got free TV. She's got free classes and training. She's on YouTube. She is brilliant. And some of the things that meant so much for me is, we live out of impossible expectations. And we think we can do it all. We can just do it all, which is not true. Cindy, can you do it all? No, we cannot do it all. So what does that call us to do? It calls us to clarify what should be no and yeses. It keeps us out of overwhelm because we've clarified the important stuff. And we want to do the most important stuff first. Think of that, you guys. So it requires us to prioritize, right? And she talks about, think about the one thing that you need to do. That's the most important thing of the day. Write it down on a piece of paper and do nothing else until that's done. Do nothing else. Get that one thing that's most important done for you. So clarify what's important, and everything isn't important, and get that done. She says, I do not do overwhelm. And I think sometimes when we're looking at advancing, we're worried. That's been one of my things. I don't want to be in overwhelm. I want balance in my life, right? Well, guess what? Who gets to choose that? Each of us gets to choose that. So let's see, what else did I have down that I thought was critical? And I know there are other people that want to share. Here's something I thought was really interesting, you guys. You know, we are living in other people's imaginations all the time. When we get on a plane, we're living in the imagination of the Wright brothers, right? They had that imagination, and we're all living in that imagination now, right? What an interesting perspective that we actually can use our imagination to create our lives. Think about it that way. Sharpen your imagination. It has a whole new concept for me about dream building, to have that imagination turn into reality and then step ourselves into it. That's the power that we're given. Let's see. I think I don't want to be a pig on the time here, and I've got loads of notes, as all of us do. But I want to say for Denny, I love this one. Denny said, "The pin is in your hand, and the end is still at hand." The pen is in your hand, and the end is still at hand. She was brilliant. We are blessed to have her. And there are a lot more, Cindy, but I'm going to stop there so other people can share. Thank you so much for allowing me to give a little bit of what I found to be important. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I love it. I remember I popped on when Marie Forleo was talking, and she was talking about, no, not everything is important. And she said, I had about, I don't know how many, 12 projects going or whatever. And I had to sit down and think to myself, which projects really bring me joy? Like, this is what I was born to do. And some of them brought me money, but they just didn't really bring me joy. And so she whittled it down to, I think, two that she thrived on. And she walked away from millions of dollars that she was earning from these other areas of her life because they earned her a lot of money, but they didn't feed her soul. And when she pivoted to those two areas that really fed her soul, she skyrocketed and she became so much more happy because she was doing what she was born to do, So you're right. When you decide what's most important, those things get, the most energy, and therefore you really thrive in the areas that you love to thrive in. So I love it.
The other thing, Cindy, is the two different celebrities also landed on that. Their tips for what to be successful. Kate Hudson said, having fun and being filled with joy. And then she said, oh, guess they're all the same. She had 3 tips and they all circulated around having fun, being joyful. And she thought, I want to create businesses that are around things that make me happy. And that's exactly what she did. Her businesses are all things that motivate her happiness. Paltrow said the same thing, basically, right? So happiness drives success.
Yeah. Yeah, you love what you do. Fantastic. Copycat Keith. Now listen, this was a most powerful women in network marketing event, and you are a most powerful man in network marketing. So tell us what you took away.
Thank you, Sydney. But I want to say this much. This has been awesome what you've done. And I want to thank you, Peg Coach. What you and Sydney have done is recreating what just happened here. Space repetition is the mother of learning. And I've gotten so much out of this, just regurgitating this stuff up. So I want to say hats off to you. Super, super great idea. We had this young lady, Denny Robinson. She took the stage, and it just made me feel so great that I have a personal connection with the whole world gets to see what I get to get under and been fed by. So that was powerful. And some of the things Denny did, she demonstrated her story. We're taught, one of our keys in our success manual guide is the ASEA story. She actually demonstrated it, how to tell that story and bring it to life. And that was awesome. And Cindy, you, Bo, and one of my mentors, Dave Struckman, and others in this industry that I look up to, you teach us to listen with our eyes. And that's so powerful. And I do that. I watch you and I watch others, but I learn to listen with my eyes. But her daughter, uh, 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 come on now, that name's coming to me.
Alyssa?
Alyssa, Liz hollers her back. Alyssa Favreau, she was embodiment of listening with her eyes. Did not want to necessarily go down the network marketing road and had other things and was successful in an area that she wanted, but she watched her mom. And she said something that was so important to me personally. I watched the person that my mom became, and I wanted to do that. I have adult children, and some of us all have adult children. If they can just see, I want what dad got. I want what copycat got. I want when people see me say, whatever it is he got, I want it, I want it, I want it. And it gives me the permission just to be myself. Don't have to be like everybody else, but they'll want what I got if I show up to the world, and don't hide it. Don't say I got to be like everybody. Be myself, but the best version of myself. So having her daughter give her those honors was major. Then there was a guy named Pete. He wasn't even supposed to be in there. Pete Vargas. He came up, but he said, you got to know your why. And he gave credit to Simon and said, but Simon, you are correct, but you're incomplete. You not only got to know your why, you got to know why your why is important to you. Cindy, that spoke to me personally. First of all, searching for that why, and clarified easy. I'm out for freedom, financial freedom, and time freedom. That's it. I know that. But copycat, why do you want that? Why is that important to you? Okay, well, it's important to me because if I have it, I just feel good. But why does feeling good is important? Because I can go where I want, take as many people as I want. Stays up. Well, why is that important to you? And just keep digging down to, okay, because I want it, makes me feel good, and this is why I want it, and I gotta have it. What would make you feel like if you don't have it? 5 years from now, you don't have control over your time. Someone else is telling you how to get up, when you got to go, and you got to clock in and clock out. How is that going to feel? What if you can't go where you want to go? How is that going to make you feel? So get up and make it happen today. And let the world see it. That spoke to me personally. Then there was this lady, Lisa Nichols. Find your voice. Now, she spoke about 4 different ways of speaking: motivational speaker and instructional speaker. Well, I see a lot of instructional speakers, and you kind of want to be like that. She said, no, be yourself. If you're a motivated speaker, you shout and scream and spit all over the place, be yourself. So that was great. And so there's the place, and you can blend into all of it. But the most important thing she said, when you're finding your voice, when you do speak, speak to inspire, not to impress. As long as you're speaking to people's heart, your whole reason is you want to inspire them to do more, get more out of themselves, to live their best. That's the important part, and they can feel it. And the last but not least, there was a whole lot. Gloria Mayfield Banks. She's one of the most powerful women in network marketing, and she spoke with power. And what got that was the confidence to be able to stand there and say, I'm here. The whole room lights up when I walk in. And I say, hey, there's no thing wrong with that. Wherever I go, everything should light up just because I showed up. Maybe not the whole room, but over that area in my there, there's something different about that. Oh, that's copycat. And being able to own that and being okay with that and seeing her demonstrate that, that was powerful to me. And she said something. She says, I've helped so many women become millionaires. But here's why. I don't just go with their goal and long-term goal. I want to be this. I focus on their hot, immediate goal. What's important to you now? This is what's really important. What makes a difference to you now? Copycat, what's important to you now? Cash in Nashville. I'm going to Nashville. I've already got my room thing, and I know the price. I want somebody else to pay for it. Why? Because it's going to make me feel good. It's just going to make me feel. Cash in Nashville is important. What's important? Fast forwards. Why? because my mentor, Diamond Dave, he's focusing in on fast forwards and fast forward plus. Other people are coming in brand new in the business and hitting fast forwards and fast forward plus. I want that now. So getting after what's important now. Back to you, Cindy. It was powerful. Thank you for this spot.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be sitting down when you're talking, copycat. I can feel, I mean, you know, the event obviously made you feel powerful. You are powerful. So I'm glad you found a platform to put that power onto. So excellent, excellent, excellent. Carol Carter, what did you take away? Oh, and you're muted.
People have already said a lot of what's in my notes, but I was really quite impressed with Ann Fisher. She said that things that come out of life can be a dream stealer, or a dream maker. And Denny also said a lot the same thing. Denny said, fate is the card you were dealt. Destiny is what you do with it.
Love it.
And with Anne, what was such a motivator for her was in providing for her disabled daughter. How excited she was when she was able to earn the money to run a sidewalk all the way around her home, and she showed us her disabled daughter walking, all smiles on that sidewalk. And I mean, it was like there was so much to cry about in this. And Denny, I mean, she was just fabulous. She started out with comparison is the thief of joy. Stop it. And she was talking about many of the leaders have been through a lot, and they're not in chapter 1 anymore. And then she shared what chapter 1 was like when she was living she was 19 and a half, and she was living in a trailer, and she ended up putting her from this very small town. And I seen that one with Ed Weems driving through that town and talking about this great person in our networking marketing, coming from this small place, and yet she was able to reach out and to actually build a life. And then when she talked about her children looking up to her, and how exciting it was when her daughter, asked if she could join, and I mean, there was just so much, but she kept saying, if you're in chapter 1, just work for work to be the best you can be, and don't compare yourself to what other people are doing. And Carla Pierce said, you have to do something you have never done. If you are comfortable, you're not growing. And there was a lot of this being authentic, getting outside your comfort zone. And I just loved Jamie Lima. She was just so authentic, and of course, having read the book, it just meant so much.
What was her book?
It was the book, Believe It. I've got it sitting around here somewhere. Maybe it's in the other room now, but
It's called Believe It.
right. But every chapter is like, the first chapter is about believe what your gut is telling you. And she had her why, which was so big that she worked for 3 years before she could pay herself. I mean, she had no's from everybody before she finally got a yes.
Yeah. Fantastic, Carol. Fantastic. Yeah, these women are tough women. And, they moved ahead because they're courageous, because they're strong. And we're all strong. They just decided to tap into their strength. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Kathleen Cavender, what did you take away?
Well, you might think there's nothing left to share because everything that everyone's spoken about are in my notes, of which I have copious notes. I have life's notes, right? But no, there's more. Dr. Shafali said, and it was spoken about already, that we're not living a life, we're living patterns. And I mentioned this morning in a group of friends that I've been actually discovering that some of the patterns that I have been living in and trying to deal with them. And so that caught my attention, and it set me up for Marie Forleo's when everything is important, nothing is important. And when I was a young mother, I was a jazz singer and an artist. I'm getting a little vulnerable here. And by the way, I filled the office floor with tissue the whole weekend. I cried so much. I'm just wiped out still. But Marie Forleo, with her when everything is important, reminded me when I was a young mother and I was homeschooling my son and I was trying to be the perfect wife. And I had a jazz career and I had an art career and I had a list like this of things that I was going to do during the day and check, 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 check. And if one of those things didn't get checked off by the end of the night, I felt like failure, right? And so I thought I had grown. And then after this weekend, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing. It's just my list is different. And so she said, when you know what's important, you're willing to ignore what's not. And so that's my homework, is to work on that. So we saw these strong women and they told their before, during, and after story that we locked into that, they decided, and then things changed, right? And our Denny, she was the shining star. She brought class to the room. Just amazing. I was so proud of her. But some of her story I hadn't heard, and I thought I knew everything about Denny Robinson, right? We're girlfriends, right? But I hadn't heard, and she just blew me away. But I remember her telling me the story about when she decided and when she visualized herself walking across the stage and hugging Virtus and receiving the award. And she says, Kat, I was only a Director 300 when that happened to me. And so I know that there was a moment for her, this aha moment where she made a decision. And we got to see that with all these women where they made a decision. And I want that even more than ever. I've been to 5 of these most powerful women networking events, 5 of them, and including the one where Alyssa got up and there wasn't a dry eye in the house, where she honored her mother. And here I am alone in my office with my little bitty iPad watching this event, and I was just up against the wall, so moved. I mean, I cried and cried. And I thought, this really is powerful. This was my favorite of all the events. And I was alone in my office with this little bitty iPad. And it just was so amazing. And so making that important decision, it locked in and ticked open, a lock for me that I hadn't experienced before. And I'll tell you who did it. And it was Elena Cordone. She said, being normal is selfish. It's greedy. Playing small is greedy. Because if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anybody else? And when you're not taking care of yourself, you're kind of waiting for someone else to take care of you. And that's very greedy and very selfish. And I never thought about that before. I never really realized that playing small was really selfish. And so I'm giving myself permission, to make that decision to play bigger and to go all in more than ever, and to clean off my to-do list so that it makes more sense. It's more realistic, and it's more the things that are important, so I can be willing to ignore the things that are not important.
Yeah, so good, so good. When you prioritize that to-do list, you're being true to yourself. And sometimes we put things on that to-do list in forms of self-sabotage. So yeah, I get that. All right, well, we are a little bit past what we normally are, but I know it was a powerful event with a lot of information. Mark Ritter, are you there? I would just want to have you end with your thoughts. I know that I think you attended the event. Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here, and
tell
I
us
I was not there for every speaker or everyone's complete presentation. I had some other responsibilities I had to tend to, but I popped in on some great stuff. And I agree with Kathleen. It was a seminally powerful event in that everyone, like 130,000 people at once were having an emotional, becoming cellular transformation. And, there was a commonality to a lot of things about, how we as human beings, we all have different stories, but at some point we have to face a dark night of the soul. And it was a guidebook to how you not just survive that, but you come out knowing how to thrive for having gone through it.
Yeah.
And I was impressed, and I watched Kathleen experience this huge aha for her, and have a shift. And I know she's got kind of a Zoom hangover from the most powerful women in network marketing, but she's got a glow. I see it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, what I heard a lot of people say is that there was so much pride that was had by being in this industry, affiliating with all of these incredible human beings that are all working in the network marketing industry, that we all, left this event with our shoulders back and our head high, feeling really, really good about what we are doing together in this incredible industry of network marketing, and how this incredible industry of network marketing swoops in and picks people up when they're down and gives them hope and reminds them what they're capable of, and gives them a vehicle where they can juggle, kids and family and chores and responsibilities, as well as building a business. So there were people that said, you know what, go ahead and invite your guests to attend this event, even if they're not working in the network marketing industry. And now that we've all attended the event and feel so good about the work that we're doing together, regardless of the company that we're working in, I can see the wisdom in inviting prospects to this event to get a look behind the curtain, to see what the industry is really like, not the word on the street, but what the industry is really like. So there were 150,000 women and men at this event, all from all over the world, learning from each other. And in December at Eric Worre's virtual GoPro event, there'll be 250,000 plus. So it's amazing how the internet brings the world together as a community, and like minds, can work with each other. So anyway, I'm glad everybody attended, and I am so thankful for you all sharing your incredible nuggets. Thank you. I think Copycat said it great. It's like reliving it all over again. Those cells start bubbling, and you feel like you did when you were attending the 3-day event, even though you might have a little hangover, like Mark referred to. So anyway, we're a little
Cindy, real quick, I want everybody to know that that is not all water under the bridge. Eric Worre did confirm today over Facebook that anybody that has a ticket to the GoPro Mastery event in December will get a copy, or it will be available to you, so that we can go back and see Denny. We can go back and see a lot of these things if you weren't able to attend this past weekend and you have a ticket to GoPro. What was I guess that's it. Just, if you weren't able to attend, it will be available. You don't have to look at it all for 3 days, but you'll be able to go and pick and choose what you want to see. And I just think it's important to know that that is going to be here. You didn't miss it all.
So we'll have access to the replay or the recording. Fantastic. All right. Good night, everybody. And thank you so much to all our panelists for sharing from your heart. Really appreciate all of you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you for asking.